America, I want you all to know I'm dropping out. I think. All this and more on the Self-Evident Podcast. Welcome to the Self-Evident Podcast. You got Mike. Unfortunately, there is no Massey. He is actually on his way to do a little more speaking, and then he'll be back this week. Man, Texas tour, I'm sure he told you a little bit about it when he did the podcast on Friday. Texas tour, man, we love you guys. It's great to go out and see all y'all. Hit some new spots this time. It was great. So if you are brand new to us, you met us in Texas, you decide you give a listen, welcome. And guys, be sure to welcome everybody into the family. Post it up now. Say welcome, love you guys, blah, blah, blah. Let us know where you're from. Do not forget, dude, we got merch. We got all kinds of merch. I'm looking for a good merch thing that I can put up. Here we go. One of the greatest ones, one of the classics. We got t-shirts like this. We do have the new shirt, the long sleeve. This one is selling like hotcakes, so be sure to get it if you want one. You can go to theselfevidenttruth.com. If you're listening on the podcast, you're going, well, what is he talking about? We have no king but King Jesus. We have no king but Jesus. These ones are awesome, and these ones really make a wave. So, it's good to be back. We apologize. We were not on the podcast for a Friday and a Monday because things were busy, hectic, and heavy for us during the tour. And sometimes, you know, guys, just inside baseball, it gets difficult, especially because you don't have the studio with you. So we try to do it on a tablet, but then we also have our schedules that it gets difficult. And so please forgive us. But we're back, and season is winding down for us, so we'll be in the studio more. We got some cool things that we're planning for the end of the year in terms of the podcast and some changes we're going to make that will benefit you. So keep an eye out for that. But overall, a lot has happened, and we always tell you we like to give a couple of days to let things kind of manifest and fit. This one, I am going to be talking about Biden stepping down. I think this is an unprecedented, in a way, election cycle. Now, there's nothing new under the sun. We preach this ad nauseum. There's always hope. There's really nothing new under the sun. But in modern politics, grab your popcorn, guys. This is insane. Now, obviously, there was all the stuff that went on with Trump and the attempt on his life. And man, if you want a conversation, you buy me a burger and let's talk, because I've got hours of thoughts on that. Now, I'm not going to cover it much because I think it got covered a lot. Massey talked about it. And I've got my own views on the whole thing. And maybe if I get into it later in the podcast, I'll let you in on. But I think this is really important as well, because when we watch the government, we watch politics, what we tend to think is they've got it all planned out. Their plan is going according to plan. Everybody would talk about Trump is playing 3D chess or 4D chess. And I would get people upset with me because I was saying, no, he's just flying by the seat of his pants. And I think for the most part, he still does. I think he's a little more calculated in what he does now. But I think sometimes people think the people at the top who are evil are also super calculated. They have everything figured out. They're always in planning process, and everything that happens goes according to plan. This reeks of a mess, which is actually good, because what it shows is, look, a lot of these people are just incompetent, or they're greedy, selfish, and they're so focused on themselves that the plan is not always working. Now, we're going to get into what's going on. Well, Biden has officially announced that he's stepping down. through a letter that has his signature on it. I have seen where this does not necessarily need the person to actually go. I'll get into that in a sec. But notice this post on X. Just this morning, and this is by David Sachs, just this morning, Biden's campaign chair said he wasn't leaving the race. Then Biden suddenly posts a resignation letter with no address to the country, reeks of a coup. And I agree with this. There is just something off about this whole thing because Biden the whole time has been saying, I'm in it, I'm going to win. They were coming out with ads, we're going to win this. They were doing screenshots, and his team was doing X posts. And then all of a sudden, this letter comes out. Now, Elon Musk has actually claimed that people he knows told him the day and time that Biden would step down, which could still be consistent even without Biden knowing. And this, I can't help but see Kamala signing that letter, typing it out, signing it, putting it out there. There was a massive growth of people who were saying Biden stepped down. And you saw this kind of divide between Biden and his family. And let's be frank. How much does Joe actually know, President Biden? Still want to be respectful to the title. How much does President Biden actually know is going on? Most of us would guess very little. And it might be in moments of coherence that no, I'm still president. And his wife and his son are sitting there going, yeah, you're still president. We're staying president. We're going to run. And then there's other factions that are very much get out. Even Pelosi, Schumer, a whole swath of the media, everybody's kind of calling like, step down, step down, step down. As an aside, a lot of people are pointing out, look, if you don't even have the health or coherence, which, mind you, up until today, everybody was saying, no, he's super healthy as a horse, sharp as a tack, he's going. And then all of a sudden, well, due to declining health, and which, you want to know who said declining health? His brother, Frank, who in an interview was talking about, we just want those last moments with him. So everybody's saying he's sharp as a tack. Then all of a sudden, declining health. And of course, you notice how they played this out, right? Oh, he's got COVID, and we'll see what happens. It was kind of that edge way of like, let's give you an excuse. So his campaign chair, his White House aides, and his people don't even know that he's about to announce. And so I'm really wondering, was it him that formed and signed that letter? Again, I could imagine Kamala, sitting at the desk in the Oval Office. Tick, 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 tick. Yeah, he's out. Now, it's been reported others such as the Clintons, Progressive Caucus, and even Alexander Soros are backing Kamala. Now, this is why I think you need to take a step back and go, wow, they are not very competent. Because not only did his staff not really know he was going to do this, and now, of course, Kamala's being floated, and we've got to get into the specifics of this because you may not realize Kamala is not the person. She's posturing herself into that position. And there are other people coming behind her to posture her as that position, but they have a convention they have to go to select the candidate. And we'll get into that. So you have everybody, you have plenty of people getting in on this side for Kamala. But then there's some voices that aren't coming out for Kamala. And that's really interesting. And this is like somebody else posted on X, and I totally agree. This is like some House of Cards stuff going on right now. The convention is up for grabs, and they're trying to figure out, okay, what do we do with the convention? Because don't forget, Biden won the primary. Millions of people voted for him. So now what the Democrats are actually saying to all of those voters is, yeah, you pick the guy, but he's dropping out, so we're going to pick him. We're going to pick who's going to replace him or her, right? And there's thoughts of most transparent, which tells you in secret, and a group of elites will select the next candidate. And the National Committee chair, Jamie Harrison, said, the American people owe President Biden an enormous debt of gratitude for the unparalleled progress he delivered over the last 40, blah, blah, blah. We will honor that legacy in the decision that he has made today through a firm commitment to nominating and electing a Democratic president this November who will carry that torch into the next 4 years. Said in a statement, adding that the process will follow established rules for the party, that the delegates are prepared to take seriously their responsibility in swiftly delivering a candidate to the American people. The problem is, what are those established rules? Because you guys have been arguing about that. Nobody seems to know, okay, how do you follow this process? Which leaves room open for somebody like Obama. Now, he's kind of that like Illuminati, New World Order figure for a lot of conservatives of like, he's the puppet master behind. I don't like getting into that whole Illuminati argument or New World Order or somebody's in control of all of it. However, somebody's got to be behind the scenes kind of taking control of the whole thing. I think Obama's that guy. Now, in an interesting post, Rod Blagojevich, former Chicago politician, okay? This guy was in the middle of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but ended up doing jail time because he was caught trying to sell Obama's Senate seat when Obama started running for president. He's on the inside of this whole Chicago politics, which is a whole different beast, right? Now, what did he say? He said, I've known Obama since 1995. We both come out of Chicago politics. I know how it works. He's behind the campaign to dump 15 million Dem primary voters and replace Biden with his choice. Classic Chicago Democrat machine politics. Selection over election, the bosses over the people. And people, of course, are making the joke, yes, you have to save democracy by killing it. You have to save democracy by avoiding it. Overcoming that little pesky problem of democracy. And I completely agree with Rod. I truly believe that if there's a power player who's helping to shape this narrative, it's Obama. I don't think Clinton has the pull anymore. I think Clinton has made too many enemies in all of this. Clinton is kind of that, oh, you got baggage. And you know what's interesting is she can't get over 2016. Every interview she does, she talks about how it basically was taken from her. My guess is the people around her are watching that going, she's toast. She's burned. She's out. Nobody already liked. Obama is a guy who people want to be around. And this is a charismatic game. So look at him and recognize he's charismatic. He draws people in. People want to be around him. You remember that video? Maybe you don't, but I'm going to describe it to you. There's a video where Biden is president and Obama's there too. And Biden is kind of aimlessly walking around trying to find people to talk to, and people are gravitating towards Obama. It's like just as Obama's walking, people are circling around him, right? That's indicative of who Obama is in this whole political game. He's kind of that guy that people are like, hey, what do you think? Hey, Mr. Obama. My guess is if anybody's got the sway in how this thing is going to go, it's him. Now, some people are saying he's going to float Michelle. Michelle would be a great pick. Michelle. I don't know. Now, maybe she's playing it under the surface. She's playing it cool because she's gearing up. But she hasn't done any like major talk show circuit. There hasn't been major documentaries. There hasn't been a priming of the pump in terms of exposure. And I was talking to Massey last night about this, and I really believe, now some people are thinking they're going to make a go of it. I really don't think they're going to. Now, it depends. Are they buying their own brand that Trump is absolute Hitler and is going to destroy and is going to throw all of them in jail, blah, blah, blah? stuff comes out, he's going to go after them. If that's the case and it's desperation mode, then yeah, they're going to go all in on somebody that they think can actually win, which plenty of us would agree, hey, that would probably be Michelle. So much more than Kamala. And of course, you're going to get those polls that say, oh, Kamala's beating Trump. And that's a crap poll. If you look at the real polls, he beats all of them head to head. And you'll get these, and I do notice that the media is spinning up Kamala. They're spinning her up of how great she is. So I think the media is sold on, hey, Kamala's our person. Don't be surprised if you see some tension going on in the next couple of weeks until the convention. And I think there is a major rift and an inside coup game going on in all of this of we've got to get Joe out, but who do we put in? Well, so-and-so likes this person, so-and-so likes that person, and there's kind of a head-to-head going on. And it's funny that if they were all on the same pathway, if this was a coherent, complete mission, and they had all the steps planned out, you would not see Soros, the Clintons, Progressive Caucus coming out for Kamala right away. If it was Kamala, you would see Obama. She's our person. We're going into the convention. Joe has hand selected her, and while we're going to allow the votes or we're going to do this system, I really believe Kamala's the person. Nobody has faith in her, except these ones that are sliding up next to her thinking, she can be a puppet. So this whole event, to me, reeks of desperation, fear, and confusion. And that should be hope for you guys. Now, when we look at the situation that happened with Trump just a couple of days ago, I am firmly in the camp of, look, I believe God spared Trump. I'm not saying he is God's chosen one to save the earth. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I do believe God has a plan and Trump's involved in it. And he was spared. The fact the man turned his head within a half a second of when that bullet came out of that gun. He turned his head and it nipped his right ear. Whereas if he had not turned his head, it would have been lights out. There's something to it. And what you're watching, and this should give you hope. You are watching the enemy camp in confusion. They're in complete confusion. Their own plan is falling back on their shoulders. It's falling on their head and crushing them. Remember, we got foisted a lie by them when Biden campaigned. Remember, they kept him in the basement. They wouldn't bring him out. And when they did actually bring him out, nobody wanted him. He couldn't. This is the joke I always say. You couldn't get 12 cars in a parking lot to honk for him. People didn't want him. But they knew they had to sequester him. They weren't going to do big, long interviews. They weren't going to do big debates, blah, 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 blah. Right? They were going to keep him as hidden as possible in his basement because of COVID. And then during his 4 years, they kept him sequestered. They gave him sheets over and over and over again with who he had to ask or call on next in the press pool and what they were going to ask. He read from teleprompters. For the last 4 years, when he didn't read from teleprompters, he made a mess of it, and it got progressively worse. And of course, recently, all of a sudden, the media suddenly comes out and goes, "Oh." After the debate, they came out and, "Oh, he's a wreck. We didn't know." Okay, either you are complete liars on every single degree of the situation, or you're so stupid that you bought your own lie 4 years ago. Which is it? Both of them are brutal. I do not believe you were that ignorant. The rest of us were pointing, this guy's got a screw loose. Something is wrong. This is evil what you're doing to this man. And then all of a sudden, he embarrasses himself. He embarrasses the whole party, embarrasses the country in a debate. And that's the moment when you all went, oh, something's wrong. I don't know if he can do this. But we were all crazy for saying this the last couple of years. We were the insane ones for pointing out, something's wrong, bro. This guy can't handle this. How's he going to handle another 4 years? So they bought their lie, and they doubled down on it, and they ran hard with this guy because guess what? It was working out for him because they could get whatever they wanted through him. He wasn't paying attention. Hey, Mr. Biden, can you just keep the borders open? Yeah, it was. Yeah. He said go ahead. So they got their plans across, but then it's all coming down on their head. And so I say that as hope of, look, the plans of the evil, the plans of the wicked. Oh my gosh, are you making a moral judgment on an entire party of people? Yes. I have my problems with the Republicans, and they showed it at the convention. And this is something I'll talk about for a couple of minutes in a second, but I think maybe Massey and I will do this full tilt on Friday. We'll see how it goes. But yes, your party is wicked. Absolutely. From the top to the bottom. Are there good people within the party? Possibly. Although I wonder. But it is coming back on the wicked's head. God is showing them their folly, and he's making them eat it full. And so I'm sitting back with popcorn watching this going, you guys are tearing yourselves apart. Do not interrupt your enemy while he is making a mistake. And I think Trump, to his complete credit, is learned that lesson. Because in the debate, you notice only one time did he make a comment about Biden's incoherence. If you notice, there was only once he said, I don't know what he just said. I don't think he knows what he just said. That was it. Just enough to let everybody know, hey, I know what's going on here. But he stayed controlled. And that's awesome. Because old Trump, I'll go there, old Trump, every single comment. And then what would people have said? Well, that's elder abuse. That's so mean of him. How dare he keep bringing this? He's mocking him. And you'll notice this man is changing. Trump's learning some lessons. And I'm very curious to see what lessons he'll take in, what transformation happens after the attempt on his life. Now, here's the problem. Did any of you watch the convention, Republican convention? Massey and I noticed something. One of them was they had, what's her name, Amber Rose, come up and speak. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is a woman who has garnered attention and influence partly through OnlyFans. She used to be a raging liberal, became a Trump supporter. I wouldn't even call her a conservative. She became a Trump supporter. And they put her on stage. Now, the mindset is, well, see, she's one of us. This is a transformation. This is somebody who Trump has won over. This is great, unity, blah, blah, blah. But do you realize that you just showed the world what your standards are? What your values are? Now, those who don't hold values of more traditional, moral, upright values won't care. Say, well, whatever we need to do to show we're unified and we accept anybody under our tent. I'm not saying cast her out. I'm not saying don't say, hey, this person now supports Trump. But you know the issue? They just gave her a platform. They gave her a platform in front of the whole world and said, hey, because no matter what, people who hear her talk and they know anything about her will go, oh, so that's the values of the Republican system now. If it was a one-off, I'd go, okay, all right, they made a bad choice or a mistake. But let's go further. Did anybody hear the talk by the Teamsters Union president. This guy was talking straight socialism, and people were cheering. And mind you, this is the same guy who said that people unifying against big, bad, evil corporations is good, which, boy, that sounds progressive, doesn't it? But then he goes further and says one of the big problems are the Chamber of Commerce and these organizations that bring together the heads of business. Those are the evil people. So they can't unify, but you can. It's positions of power. He's talking through lens of power. And his whole thing was talking about how they need to take down big business and they need to come at the conglomerates and blah, blah. Corporations are evil. And the people need to rise up. It's the people. And even in his whole talk, he said he was loyal to his Teamsters. But he loves America. I'm not even against private unions. You want to unify? Cool. My issue is when government gets involved in the negotiations or laws are written to benefit the unions over the companies, blah, blah, blah. I do have a problem with public unions. And go ahead, come at me, whatever. I've got an issue with that because it's conflict of interest, but that's a whole nother conversation. So that's strike two. We've got this Teamsters Union president who comes out and is lambasting business. And he uses UPS as his example. Now, Paul, if you're listening, you'll probably laugh about this too, but isn't it funny he uses UPS as a great victory for the Teamsters in negotiating a contract? Yeah, you mean that contract where then they ended up, laying off tens of thousands of people? You mean that contract where all of a sudden they're laying off people and it caused a big issue for UPS? Or what about the renegotiation of another shipping industry carrier that had to bankrupt themselves? Uh-oh. Oh, that's a win? This is the issue with all of that, is what is the Republican standard? They're trying so hard to win another segment of voters that they're giving up their values in order to placate. Now, you might think, okay, well, yeah, you're still kind of on the line, man. That's two examples. Okay, number three, and this is for you Christians. The closing prayer was given by a man of Sikh religion. I have nothing against that man. I have nothing against his faith outside of Jesus Christ is the only way to God. And I will not apologize for that. And that man can come to me and say, my way is the only way. That's fine. We disagree. But a platform, a party that has courted and supposedly held the traditions of the evangelical, the Christian voice, with a man at the helm that you all say is saved and he's God's chosen one, he's Cyrus, blah, blah, blah. Your closing prayer for your political party, your convention, was given to a foreign god. How do you think God would have responded to the Israelites if they had done that? They put a king in place, they're happy, they're celebrating the ceremony, and they close the ceremony with a prayer to a foreign god. Oof. And this is the issue. And let's look at the platform they came out with. People are upset because they watered down the language in terms of abortion. And as opposed to federal ban in some way, shape, or form, it's now states' rights issue, which was Trump's line. And of course, the party is basically being run by Trump's people. I'm torn on that. But they changed the language. And this is what Massey and I have been warning about in terms of the Republican Party. Conservatives and Christians, it's the easy bottom feeder way to go about it is, well, I'm a Christian and so a Republican, because they're kind of closer to I am. Keep clear eyes, because you have to keep asking yourself, when are they no longer the party that represents me? And the problem is, we look at the black community and we go, when are you going to get it through your head? The Democrats don't care about you. They promise, and they never deliver. And you notice now more and more in the black community, they are looking at Trump going, oh, man, this guy has mugshot. This guy's been shot at. This guy's going through the court system. He's like us. And I'm not being racist. Like, literally, black people have come out and said that. And it makes sense, because what is it saying? The system is against him. And plenty of people in the black community have said, yeah, the system has been against us for centuries. So we as conservatives look at them and go, when are you going to get it? The Democrats don't care about you. They're using you. You're a pawn. And I can't help but look at the Christian conservative and say, are the Republicans using you as a pawn? And are they changing things and saying, well, your values don't matter to us because we know you'll still vote for us, because you're definitely not going to vote for those evil Democrats. And you've been telling yourself for how many decades, yeah, well, lesser of two evils. I'm not saying jump ship. What I'm saying is stop selling them as the righteous party. At what point are their offerings to foreign gods, their upholding of immorality? Remember, when Balaam was having his whole issue with the Israelites, what was the advice given? What do you say? Get them to intermingle and mix and have relations with foreign women. Sexuality, lust, all of that is such a spiritual force to pull people away from God. And we've just put a representative of it in front of ourselves and said, well, she endorses us. There's something wrong with this whole system. So while I'm eating popcorn watching the Democrats going, thank you, Lord, that the wicked are finally having it come back on their head, I'm praying, Lord, save us from our own wickedness. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. It's not a doom and gloom. I'm not giving you a black pill. I'm giving you a, let's keep our eyes open, guys. And I'm going to watch Trump very closely for the next couple of months. There's actually been some prophecies that the first half, guy, a couple of months before the attempt on Trump's life, nailed it. Flat out nailed it. Said bullet, right ear. Now, he did say burst his eardrum. I don't know if that's the case or not. Nobody said. But also said that he would be radically transformed for Christ through that event. I'm watching. Now, people will say they're talking to a different Trump since after that event. And Trump himself has talked in a different light. Kind of a, oh, I'm mortal. I could end. I should have ended. So I'm watching with bated breath of, hey, where does this lead? So I have hope. But, guys, do not take your foot off the gas in terms of prayer for our political system, our structure, because this is not going to get better. This is going to get worse. The more the Democrats weep and gnash teeth of their own system falling on their heads, the more likely they are to tear the whole thing apart. People are in positions and levers of power, and you watch the CrowdStrike collapse. It took out banks, airports, restaurants, hospitals. It devastated the system for a weekend. How easy it was to completely collapse a system. And if they know they're not going to make it, if they're not going to win, what happens? I don't speak from fear. I don't speak from prophecy. I speak from human behavior, history. We're in that collapse moment in terms of our civilization, our culture. And that collapse moment is very dangerous because people get scared and people get desperate. And especially those at the levers of power, the more they realize their power is slipping through their hands or the plan is not going according to plan, the more likely they are to double down because they don't mind if millions of people die as long as they don't. look at the greatest genocides in the world, and there's a ramping up that happens of loss of human life in order to preserve the power of the few. And that is satanic in its own right. Satan will sacrifice anybody and everybody for his plan. But you have the Lord. And you can have hope in the Lord. And the Lord can insulate you from a lot of the damage and problems and issues that happen around us. I'm not saying he always will, but I'm saying he can. And it's up to you to rely on him and get close to him. It's up to you to seek him out. And I encourage you to do so. So what's my take on all of this? I think the Democrats are eating themselves apart. Watch it with popcorn. Don't interrupt them. Republicans, get out of their way. Let them have their mess. Just keep pointing back to the mess. Keep focusing on the mess, talking about the mess. On your own side, though, you better figure this out. What's your stance? What's your value system? Are you going to sacrifice it in order to get a couple more votes that you think will be there for you? Or are you going to stay true to the Lord, stand on conviction, and say, no, I don't agree with that? They may have said it at the convention, but I don't agree with it. Are you going to let your voices be heard that we will not let a party that supposedly wants us to dictate to us what morality is? And so, guys, by all means, go to theselfevidenttruth.com. Get yourself some merch. Check out the blog. Check us out for new events coming on. And by all means, keep track with us and share with a friend. If you enjoyed this podcast, you think it's valuable, by all means, share with somebody. If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for them, right? And if they don't like it, by all means, let them tell us. We've had people tell us how much they don't like us, and that's fine. Good for you. Find somebody else. But I hope you got something out of this, guys. I love you so much. I hope you all have a great week. We will see you on Friday. So